Welcome to a special bonus episode of St Giles, our thought leaders, and thank you for joining us. My name is Peter Walker. This week I'm joined by Anne Griffiths, who is the lead manager of our Peer Advisor Network. Anne has been running our Peer Advisor Network, which helps people who have been through challenges or have been held back by disadvantage the chance to gain qualifications, to volunteer in roles, and to find the confidence they need to start rebuilding their lives and help others do the same. Over 200 peers have completed the qualifications, with nearly 150 moving on to complete the full Level 3 qualification, and about half of those moving into paid employment, something many of our clients have felt was never possible in the past. I spoke to Anne about the importance of lived experience, something at the very heart of St Giles. Lived experience involves taking our past experiences, such as the challenges and disadvantages that have held us back, and using those to shape how we reach and help others going through those challenges themselves. Hi Anne, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Good. So, your first podcast, I think, for St Giles, and it's going to be your last as well because you're leaving us soon. I think this is I've got a few questions to ask you so people can get to know a bit more about you and what you've done within St Giles. So to start off with, could you tell us a little bit about your role here at St Giles and tell us a little bit about the Peer Advisor Network?
My role is as the lead manager for the Peer Advisor Network. So I get to oversee the overall program management, the interactions with our funder, the planning and real oversight of the project. The Peer Advisor Network itself is aiming to embed lived experience in local services. So it covers the whole of the UK. We are working in every single nation of the UK. And it's all about embedding our proven peer advisor program, where people with lived experience of disadvantage get a chance to train, do placements, and move on to support others in advice and guidance roles in local services. It's quite a unique program, in that there's a lot of work that goes on out there around lived experience, but I think we are the only people, in fact, I know we're the only people who have this unique bringing together of professional qualification training and support to help people move on, not just to employment, but to gaining confidence and helping others and making an impact in their community.
With St Giles, lived experience is quite a big element within St Giles. And for those that are listening and that are new to this, and they may not have listened to the other podcast, but we've been talking about lived experience, and we know what we mean when we say lived experience from a St Giles point of view. But can you just, for the listeners, just explain a bit about what lived experience means? Because some people have a different interpretation, and I think it might be good to put it into a context from a St Giles point of view.
Lived experience can mean some slightly different things to different people, but as I say, at the heart of it, it's about facing challenges, barriers, and disadvantages that could hold people back if they weren't able to use those experiences as strengths in the future. Could be things like having mental health difficulties, facing homelessness, experiencing addiction, whether one's own addiction or that of family members in some cases. So being a carer for another family member, for example.
Yes.
Having been involved in the criminal justice system, having been in the care system, all of those different kind of life experiences that for many, many people are extremely challenging.
Yes.
But in the longer term, and particularly with support and training, can become the most wonderful strengths to be able to use to support others and to achieve things that people thought they could never achieve.
The mission there is to help people turn their past into a future. So could you tell us what lived experience means to you and why it's so important?
At its core, lived experience is the things that we as human beings face in our lives that might hold some people back, challenges, barriers that, as I say, could hold some people back, but also provide us with a richness of experience that we can use to help others.
Yeah.
It can be amazing strengths. And especially if we can, if we're supported to be able to use them in a positive way, we can become role models for others to overcome those challenges and learn from them to help others. So I suppose in practice, lived experience becomes the things that we can bring to our jobs, to our volunteering roles, to our work in our communities, to relate to others and to help them to overcome obstacles too.
Brilliant. And how do you think utilising people's lived experience can benefit other businesses and communities?
I mean, that's a really core part to the Peer Advisor programme, particularly to the Peer Advisor Network and the work that the National Lottery funded us to do. It's absolutely about supporting individuals to gain skills and to gain confidence, to deliver advice and guidance to help other people. But it's also about making a difference to organisations and to communities. People who have both a richness of lived experience and the real life challenges of facing barriers and overcoming them bring not just professional training and professional insight to roles, but they also bring an amazing relatability, rapport, acting as a role model, being able to engage others that might never have engaged with services before. And they can really massively impact the engagement and the impact that local services have. People increase the diversity and representativeness of local services if they face challenges like the people who might be clients of those services now. And of course, bringing together lived experience and professional qualifications and training means that you have the whole package.
Yes. And with the Peer Advisor Network, what feedback have you had yourself from the peers that have been on the programmes? What kind of feedback have you had from them?
We get really great feedback from peers. I would also say from clients that peers support and from organisations that peers are working in. Really amazing feedback on multiple different levels, which is the ultimate goal. I mean, for context, it's worth saying that we have had over 220 peer advisors come through the programme and complete the training that we offer.
Wow.
And about half of those have moved into paid jobs, which is a brilliant outcome for many people.
Yes, fantastic. Is that within St Giles or is that external or is it both?
It's a combination. So everybody has had St Giles training and support from our teams working across the UK, but they may be working, the peer advisors may be working in St Giles services or in different local organisations like drug and alcohol services or parenting networks or criminal justice agencies.
Okay.
In terms of the feedback, I mean, about 9 in 10 of our peers that have come through the programme say that their confidence has massively improved.
Okay, good.
And similar numbers say that they feel much more confident about employment now. And in terms of the things that peers tell us, I mean, people say that it's made a difference to what they believe they can achieve, say that it's had an impact that perhaps they hadn't expected on their families and those around them. We've had people who say they can now relate to others that they never thought they could have related to because they've come together through their lived experience, or they've gained the confidence. One lady said that she'd gained the confidence to be able to get her son the support he needed in school.
And I think just thinking now, just going back to, we talked about the lived experience and people with lived experience. For some of those, there's people who may, for example, you mentioned about the criminal justice system. So some people have been in prison, for example, and they've spent a long time in prison and they've come out. They've probably not worked before. They've probably not sat down and talked about themselves in any great detail. And, they've gone onto a program and been involved within the peer advised work. And it sounds like, from what you're saying to me, that there's been a vast improvement in their life because their confidence has been built up. They've developed in so many different ways. That personal, the personal development has improved. And I suppose that symbolises the work of the Peer Advisor Network as well. Everything, the career, their aspirations, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I none of this would be possible if it wasn't for the teams across the network. We have trainer assessors who deliver the training and enable our peer advisors to complete our own assured courses, assured by City and Guilds, but also then move on to full level 3 NVQ and advice and guidance. We have support workers who provide emotional and wraparound support, practical support and employment support for peer advisors. And we have coordinators in our hubs as well who do an amazing job working to engage local organisations who can host peer advisors as volunteers and who also deliver that influence and impact that we want to make, enabling local organisations to see the value of lived experience.
So I'm just thinking now, obviously I know St Giles, but there's somebody listening and thinking, wow, this organisation sounds fantastic. I want to be part of this. I want to get involved in this. What would you advise somebody who wants to learn more, wants to get involved in this, wants to be on the Peer Advisor Network, on the programmes? What would you advise them to do?
And in different ways. So on our website, on our St Giles website, you can go to a section that has contact details for all of our peer hubs, as we call it. People can contact different locations across the UK through that. I think that, as I say, there's pages where you can type in peer hubs and look up the nearest one next to you. So that's one way. Also, we have Twitter accounts. So on Twitter at St Giles Pan, which is a way to get engaged because we'll reply to that directly. Many local organisations already work with us.
And for me, I'm just thinking now, because obviously this is your sort of swan song, this is, and you're departing from St Giles. And so the question for me is, where would you like to see the Peer Advisor Network go in the next coming years?
There are some amazing things that have already been achieved and some developments that we've made in the past, I would say 18 months or so, that are incredibly exciting. One of the things that I'd love to see grow is the fact that we have now not just peer advisors who deliver local services, but we also have peer evaluators who help evaluate, measure, and do research about the success of different services. So people with lived experience who are trained to be able to run evaluation and research activities. That would be amazing to see, so that we really do embed lived experience at the heart, not just of running services, but of designing them, of measuring the success of them, and of working with local decision makers and indeed national decision makers to make sure that they work for people who have experienced the challenges. So that's one thing. I mean, practically, the more peer advisors we can get and train and support and enable to move on to help others and to employment, that's brilliant. Growth across and sustaining across the whole of the UK as well. Because I think, this programme has been the first work St Giles has ever done in Northern Ireland and Scotland. We've got a great opportunity to refocus and to re-energise our teams in those nations, which is brilliant. And also just to keep impacting on the host agencies, to make that impact in communities and agencies beyond St Giles as well as within. The most remarkable comments from hosts saying things like they've been able to run services they could never run before. They've engaged people who would never have come to the service in the first place had it not been for peer advisors. And the relationship St Giles has with them has been exemplary.
It sounds fantastic. In fact, it sounds so fantastic. Even I want to sign up. That's how fantastic it is. As a highlight, what's been one of your highlights out of the time that you've been within St Giles?
Wow. I think for me, seeing overall this impact, this feedback that I've talked about from agencies, from people, that when you read it all over, the years this program has been running, it just comes together as this amazing just story about the huge impact that St Giles has had, as I say, not just on people, but on agencies and communities as well. And I think, there are the other highlights for me, as I say, setting up the peer evaluator, I think has been an ambition for St Giles for years. So we now have 18 individuals with lived experience who are out there in communities influencing a robust evaluation. And we've also been able to use the impact that we can prove we've made, the evidence that we have, our work on engaging people on probation through homelessness projects in Wales, just these continuous opportunities to make an impact in new and exciting ways.
Fantastic. And I'm encouraged listening to you. I'm encouraged because it sounds like there's growth, there's been development, just as you just said, with the evaluators as well and the work that they're doing. And obviously the biggest part is that there's people who've got lived experience who are buying into this. And I just think that's wonderful. I would like to say, on behalf of St Giles, and I'm sure there'll be many people that will be saying goodbye to you and thank you, but I'd like to thank you for your input, for your service and for your drive and enthusiasm to get people to another level, a level that they probably didn't think was possible. And that's not just with staff, but that's also with those who are on the programme, the ones that it's designed for, the ones that it's aimed at. So I just want to say thank you for all that you've done for St Giles, and I certainly wish you all the best for the future as well. So thank you, Anne, for your time today on this podcast, and I just hope that people listening to it will be inspired by you.
Thank you, Peter. It's been great talking.
A huge thank you to Anne for speaking to us. If you'd like to find out more about the Peer Advisor Network, head on over to our website, stgilestrust.org.uk. And as ever, please make sure you subscribe and share, as we've got lots of fantastic interviews coming up later this year.